making sure that the group hears us and hopefully sees us, and hopefully we can see you, because we are a small group today, and that's really good to try to interact as much as possible to validate, as you know, our action plan. In today's case, it's focusing on working group 2 that is entitled, as you see in the screen, the sustainable use of natural resources. And it has like two main angles of priorities. One focusing more on sustainable use of natural resources in general, and the other one focusing a bit more on fisheries and on the small-scale fisheries that are an important topic in the Mediterranean region. So, so this is the working group that we will be discussing today. As you might know, we have been discussing our strategy earlier in June that we have validated with, I guess most of you were in the previous, in the first webinar that we had. Then we dedicated some time to validate the previous 2 working groups, working group 1, focusing on biodiversity protection and transboundary issues, and working group 3 that we had earlier this week that was focusing on ecosystem monitoring and assessment. And here we are today where we will spend some time to discuss with you what we thought would be the priorities for this biodiversity protection community on these topics. So the exchange is really welcome. So we really invite you to open your videos, open your microphones, discuss with us, tell us what you think is missing, is going well, you agree with. So we're happy to hear all of this. Very well. So I will not go a lot into details. As you see in the screen, I mean, we are a partnership of quite some regional networks in the Mediterranean region, and we are very complementary, I think. We have been working on that also in the previous period, from 2016 to 2019, in this first phase of this community. It used to be called Panacea, and now we're again, most of us together again in this biodiversity protection community in the Mediterranean. If you, okay, I have the slides, yes. So as you can see, the agenda will be focusing on the objectives of this working group, the main targets and priority actions that we will have, and the milestones, the main deliveries, the main priorities in terms also of events and targets that we have set for this community and that we would like to validate with you. So point 3 is really interactive. We hope it will be to make sure that everybody agrees on the main lines of work that we would prioritize, or if you have something more interesting to suggest, we are here to hear from you. So going a bit, yes, so that's my my welcome note. So I welcome you again, everyone. And just a few points from my side. I need to close my email. That's making some noise. Okay, so from the side of where we come from, I think most of you have been in the previous webinar, so I will not go too much into detail, but I guess it's good to recall that, as I mentioned, we started back in 2016, working with a community of projects that started with 9 thematic projects, or how the program calls them, modular projects that were focusing on biodiversity protection. So we had to really understand what these projects are about, how we can prioritize main lines of work from their side to make some additional impact in terms of improved practices and more effective management and decision making. So we have worked on few policy issues. We have raised awareness in some activities. We have gone to the EU Parliament and presented the results in the midterm review. We have signed the common declaration. So all of these were quite some interesting outcomes, I think, from the first phase. We also developed a tools of catalog, so catalog of tools on the different tools that were developed by different projects. Then around the midterm review, we had 4 new projects that came in. So finally we ended in 2019, with 11 projects. No, it was 9 and 2, if I'm not wrong. And now we are 15 in this phase with 4 new projects that are new, and 1 project that is still running from the previous phase. So we have 5 running projects in this phase, and we would like to still engage as far as possible the projects also that have ended through key, I would say, outcomes that we would like to develop together, as well as key events we would like to give visibility to the results. So that's a bit of a quick overview, and I think before starting the next phase, what we would like to see maybe is again a reminder of this common declaration that we have developed and presented in the EU Parliament and finally signed in Malaga at the final event in 2019. So maybe Emanuele, you can put the video.
United for effective actions to protect the Mediterranean. The Mediterranean's diversity of plants and animals, biodiversity, is an amazing gift to us. They play a crucial role in our lives. Wetlands, rocky shores, sandy beaches, seagrass meadows host an amazing variety of life, which are all part of an interconnected ecosystem. This Mediterranean ecosystem is part of our daily life, and it provides essential goods and benefits like clean air, water, and healthy food. However, overexploitation, pollution, unsustainable fisheries, and climate change are affecting the balance. Human activities have become a major threat to our sea and to our daily lives. We need to act now. Many Mediterranean people, social organizations, companies and institutions are well aware of this need. Our community, over 200 partners in the region, has worked for 3 years to create a common base for our shared goal. We have practiced a constant dialogue, exchanging experiences and knowledge, linking science, management and policy actors. We have discovered that solutions to protect our environment need to be designed beyond borders, free from self-interest and short-term economic gain, and have then created the Mediterranean Declaration for an ecosystem-based approach. Our declaration is an important step to protecting our future. Its main points of action are to acknowledge the value of and threats to the Mediterranean, to engage in dialogue and cooperation with all economic sectors for a sustainable future, to exchange experiences and good practices to influence better policies and practices, to activate cooperation mechanisms for effective biodiversity conservation and ecosystem management. Sign up and share our declaration for the Mediterranean today, because together we are stronger and more effective. All together for a better Mediterranean.
Okay, so thank you, Emanuele, for that. Very well. So that was for the ones that maybe did not see this before. That was maybe this common declaration that we put together as a roadmap in a way for our broad actions, right? And in this phase, what we would like to do is really to stick to what we have somehow committed to and to push some actions forward. So in this working group, as I mentioned, there are some dedicated themes that we would like to push forward together with you. So I want to engage you in some activities that we will be presenting a bit later on. But for now, I would like to also step into this phase now and to let you know a bit what are the broadly the main somehow activities that we have committed in doing. So as you can see in the slide, it's maybe a bit small, but it's mainly the timeline. So we have 2 years from now to work together until June 2022. The red triangle that you see is around this period now, where we have been developing the first 6 months of this year, our strategy. So the strategy of the Biodiversity Protection Community project, that was the main focus of the first webinar we had. So we wanted to validate what we thought were important topics, important tools, and so on to ensure that we prioritize in this phase. We also built our action plans through the different working groups that we are presenting previously, and this is the last one, working group 2 of today. So out of these, we want to validate with you the main priority actions. Not all of them are very clear or clearly defined. We are still working on them, and that's why we want you to really be active in what you think is engaging for you, is interesting for you, and what you think is priority to work on together. And that would help us redefine some aspects and some priorities in this working group. So very well, this is part of what we call this community building events that we used to do more presential, but due to the COVID, we had to adapt and go through a series of webinars on that. So this for us will help us before the summer break to really close and validate all these important priorities that we have set for yourself. So you're welcome then to use the pod and to let us know what you think is missing, so we can add it in the final publications that we will be publishing out of these series of webinars. Then, as you see, we have a series of webinars. I think I can use, yes, I can use this. Yeah, we have a series of capacity building activities that we had in mind developing as well, presential, but due to the COVID situation, we have reconsidered. So for this year, most of our activities would be running as webinars. So we have a capacity building training, what we call a capsule for future MVA managers in Montenegro. As you might know, the Ministry of Sustainable Tourism and Development of Montenegro is a partner with us, and they have been newly added as a partner mainly for the interest of pushing forward the declaration of 2 new protected areas in Montenegro that we hope they will take place before the project ends. It was expected to be at the end of this year, but I guess the COVID situation might be also having an effect on that. But we will be providing support and trainings for these future MPA managers, building on the needs that they would identify. So we have also some transfer webinars. So as you can see, the ecosystem-based MSP, so Maritime Spatial Planning School, that was expected to take place this year, but finally will be divided into a webinar, an introductory webinar this year, to be followed up by hopefully a physical or presential training by March. For now, we have in mind next year, but we will be depending also on the situation. You can see in yellow the collaborations that we have been establishing. So, for example, this transfer webinar and this training school will take place in collaboration with the BlueMed initiative. And then we have planned for a transboundary governance model in the Adriatic Ionian ecoregion, focusing on an EPSA that is mainly the topic around sensitive biodiversity, where we would like to engage more the EU SAIR instrument in that region, and to try to make a change, influence the governance around this area. So all of these would be taking place in the second phase of this year. We have also prepared for the EU Green Week that was expected to take place in June, but now has been shifted to October in Brussels. And I lost the screen. I don't know if the rest have lost it as well. So some words on the EU Green Week. We plan to have it dedicated to a priority theme, that is the wetland ecosystems. We are finalizing the drafting of the agenda, and we would think that if possible we would have it as a physical meeting in Brussels. Else we could also shift it to a webinar. So we are a bit again, depending on that situation. That is expected to take place in October, and it's in collaboration with another Interreg program, that's the Interreg Balkan Mediterranean, that will be closely supporting us. After that, we were expected to be preparing for a session in the MVA forum that was planned for November this year. But yesterday or before yesterday, in the steering committee meeting, the decision was taken to also modify the date and most probably start with a webinar this year instead of the forum that will be shifted to a later stage next year. But we will be there, we will be co-organizing a session, and this is closely in collaboration with region institutions such as PARAC, AFUNET-MAP, the METPAN, Network of Protected Areas, WWF Mediterranean, and the MET Fund. So we will be informing you about all of these. Then for next year, we have the main event, the IUCN World Congress, that was expected to happen this June, but finally was shifted to January 2021. And we will be having several sessions in there. I think we will go into more details later on. And we will have some transferring events also taking place that are aligned with the webinars that we would have done in 2020, as well as tailor-made trainings in Montenegro. We plan to have several in the different years that we will be engaged with the ministry. Then at the end of 2021, we plan to have a side event in the Barcelona Convention COP 22 that will be taking place around December in Turkey. And the final event will be at the EU Parliament and closely in close collaboration with the CIARICA Interparliamentarian Group, where we would like to showcase all the results that we hopefully would have, you would have produced, and we would have also produced together. So this is a little bit what we plan to have. Of course, it's building really on what we would like to capitalize, extracting from the results you would have to increase the impact of our common activities around practitioners and policymakers, as I mentioned. I had also a slide. Also, my screen is getting updated, but the other slide I wanted to show you was mainly the main policy targets and the target groups that we have in this working group. That of course they go a lot in line with sustainable use of natural resources. So the Maritime Spatial Planning Directive, for example, at the EU level is a main focus for us. The EU Common Fisheries Policy and the EMFF instrument is also a clear focus. At EU level, the Blue Growth Strategy as well, how to really ensure that growth would not harm or harms less natural resources. So this is really an important topic. At the Mediterranean level, of course, we have the Malta Declaration that is important in this working group. So it focuses on the sustainable use of Mediterranean fisheries and as well as the FAO JFCM as a real instrument or stakeholder that we want to really engage very closely with. I think that if you cannot see the fact sheet that has been provided to you as a background document, could help you because we have this table also present there, so you could have a look at it. And I think yes, the next was, I don't know. Do you see on your screens? Am I the only one that's not seeing?
So I think some people are, and we had to re-enter the room. Maybe Emmanuel can tell us.
Okay, so Mireia is seeing, Katrina can see. Okay, I still cannot see on my screen the slides, but maybe if I don't know if Emanuele, you are seeing it and you can provide the slide on the two questions we would like to have some answers on.
We move to that question.
Yes, I'm starting to see something. Okay, so I hope the rest can see it. We have two questions to you. So maybe the ones that cannot see can refer to the background document that we have provided. And here the question is, among the policy and network targets identified for this working group, if you could please write the ones that you see most relevant also to your project. What you think that your project is focusing on. That would help us also see whether what we have is really in line, or the second question is whether you miss. So if do you know of any other legal instrument or instruments and stakeholders that we should add to our list because we don't have it. So your answers will be very useful for us to, as I mentioned, update this fact sheet and having it as our published action plan. The SSF and MSP. Okay, we'll give a few more seconds in case you want to add something. Okay. And in case you missed any legal instrument or key stakeholder that we did not add to the list, you're welcome to add it, please, on the second question.
Sorry to interrupt, but can I ask what this RPOA SSF means? I understand SSF is a small-scale fisheries, MSP is maritime spatial planning, but I'm not sure what RPOA means. Anyone could help me with that? You, Luca. I got the answer. That's clearer for me. Sorry, it's just the acronyms are confusing sometimes.
Into bodies on protected areas and network. Yes, so thank you so much. Live, Fisheries of Europe. Okay, so I think that we got some questions, so thank you for that. In case you think you still have some other replies that you would like to add, please feel free to add them in the chat system or later on to let us know by email. We would be really keen in trying to include anything that, any comments that you might have. Okay, so I think we are fine for these two questions, and I think that we could now move to the next step. That's mainly the objectives of this working group, and I will give the word to my colleague Lise Yenal from the CPMR. Lise, you can hear us?
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
I can see you. Yes.
Hi. Hi, everyone. Good to see you again, and I'm very pleased also to see that this working group 2 is restarting its activities. So I'm just going to introduce quickly the objectives of the working group and a bit of history also for this working group. So as you know, in the first stage of the project Panacea, this working group was mainly focused on developing some insights on artisanal small-scale fisheries and on participatory approaches. We had an internal, let's say, brainstorming within the team, and we decided that it is such an important topic that we should continue to promote it and to work on it, and also to widen the scope. So not only to focus only on small-scale fisheries, but also on other types of topic related to participatory approaches, to a governance model, and so on. But we'll have time this morning to get your views on that. So as a first objective, it's still to exchange our different tested methodologies, to present evidence-based solutions, and to create networking activities and capacity building workshops. As a second objective, we would like also, of course, to address multi-level policies, so not only local but also regional EU policies in various Mediterranean countries as well. And as the third point, it's really to continue to identify and to collect and to disseminate the different best practices that we can find, and develop this kind of new management schemes at local but also at regional level, and also to continue with this advocacy work at the EU level. So the working group 2 started, you know, with different types of activities. We firstly had a very successful workshop at the FIO GFCM meetings Fish Forum. It was in 2018. where we organized a workshop to promote co-management in small-scale fisheries. We had several roundtables. One of them was really to focus on why and to what extent co-management is really a key tool that can really improve the sustainable development of the Mediterranean small-scale fisheries. We had very nice examples from different projects, such as Fishing Piebu 2, and we are very pleased also this morning to have Luca Santarosa with us. And we have time also to discuss a little bit more with you, because we have hired a consultant to continue to work on this working group too, and this is Luca, who is with us this morning. So we'll have a little bit of time to talk with you, Luca, a little bit this morning. And so during this event also we had some discussion also on how to move from the theory to practice, how to really create an ownership and to raise awareness, how to better have this integration of the participatory approaches into MPA management. We had the project Confish also, who were there and presented their methodologies. And at the end we also had a discussion on how to expand and how to transfer those best practices, and how to have this common integration of co-management in the Mediterranean, which is a very big challenge that we try to continue in this working group. So as you can see on the screen, we had several products. One of them was the technical report, where we mainly collected the best practices from different projects and beyond. It was really to showcase also the importance of the complementarity between a bottom-up approach, which is because most of the time we are talking about top-down approach, and how also to mix those different approach. And it was really interesting to have also this document where we could really propose new and alternative approaches. Among them, we had also the Catalan model, which was developed and presented. It's a very successful model that was integrated into the maritime strategy of the region Catalonia, and it is also one of the objectives of this new working group to keep on working on this regional level, and I will go back to that later, but we have also foreseen some survey within the CPMR for that. Inside this technical paper you will find different examples also from Fishing Piebu 2, from Confish, but from also WetNet, who was a project also looking at a different way of participatory approaches through the wetland contracts. So it was one of the other topic that we had in this working group, not really close to small-scale fisheries, of course, but it's also something that we want to address, as when I was talking about widening the scope of this working group. And then we evolved into a policy paper that was released at the end of last year, where we developed 12 policy recommendations. Among them, of course, was highlighted to how to engage local communities, how to better involve the local stakeholders, the private sector, the civil society in the response to better manage the natural resources, and citizen science is also something that we have decided to focus also in this working group. We have time to look into that, and we have some project here, I think, who can also have a few words on that. Among those recommendations, we had also how to address regional pressure to reduce impacts on Mediterranean ecosystems, especially through a transboundary governance. So this is also a topic that we are developing as well into this new phase. So I think for having a little bit of discussion all together. I would like also to invite you all the new participating projects. So we have PostBMed 2, MVA Networks, TuneUp, MPA Engage. So if we have someone in the room there who is ready to maybe introduce his project in a few words and tell us what you think it is important to reach those objectives and to be part of this working group on sustainable use of natural resources, please raise your hand. And if not, I will ask you directly some questions. So maybe someone from PostBMed 2 or from MPA Networks, maybe?
I think Valentina from MPA Networks had to leave at 10:30, so maybe she's not with us anymore.
Suzanne?
Yes, hello, Suzanne.
Hi. Suzanne Galland from
Hello.
Maritime. So I can talk a little bit of the MPA Networks project. Thank you. So it just started.
Take your camera, please, Suzanne.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
That would help us. Thank you. And raise your voices slightly, please.
Okay, I will try to do so. We are sharing an office, and that's why I was hesitating to talk today. Just we all working remotely just now, so it's complicated to have a space for ourselves. So I apologize if you can't hear me well just now. But yeah, so MPA Network is a project that started this year, or at the end of last year actually. Which is really to build up from a pilot project in specific MPAs and then to transfer what is learned at the local level to a higher level. And I just wanted to point out that some of the pilot activity that have been chosen in some of the 11 MPA we are working on are going to implement some of the methodology that was developed during Fish MPA Blue 2 project. So I think the activity that are developed by Panacea of gathering everyone and facilitating the continuity and how we can build up year after year to have more impact in the activity we carry out is really, really important.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. And maybe I would like also to ask Luca Santa Rosa, Luca is going to animate also this working group too, and he was involved in Fish MPA Blue 2, of course. What is your view on this next phase of the working group, and also a bit of history of Fish MPA Blue 2 and the results that you had at the end of the project, and what is your expectation now? Luca, I see. Yeah.
Good morning, everybody.
Hello.
Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah, okay. Good morning, everybody. Some of you already know me, some others not. But in any case, I'm very glad to have upgraded, let's say, my participation in this community. Before I was the project manager of Fish MPA Blue 2, a project focusing on small-scale fisheries, where some of you were partners also. And in this project, we developed two main outputs. One was a toolkit towards, let's say, a co-management system. Actual measures for small-scale fishery management, actual measures that were jointly decided and tested by the MPA managers and local artisanal fishers. And the other main output of the project was an integrated methodology for social, economic, and environmental monitoring of the effects of implementing such measures. So it was a test with also an evaluation of the effects of this test in 11 MPAs around the Mediterranean. Now Fish MPA Blue 2 is over, let's say, at least it's finished. But I'm very glad to be here as a facilitator, as consultant of the working group too, because first because I like the topic, second because we know each other, so it's good to continue to work together. And as some of you knows me, I have a lot of ideas in my head about the potential outcomes of this working group. But as usual, I want to agree, not today, but in the next meeting, next exchanges, I want to agree with you what is feasible and what is too ambitious for this working group in order to meet, first of all, your own interests. Because as I was like you in the previous in Panacea project, I was a project manager already with my commitment towards my project. So horizontal project for me was a good tool, but also risk of overburdening my daily work. So now I want that I'm in the position of on the other side, let's say. I would like to agree with you what is impacting also in general terms, but also useful for you, taking into account also that you are the new project are here as capitalization project, so we have the same goal, let's say. So the ideal is to create synergies instead of replications, instead of overlapping. So this is just a general intro to say I'm here, I'm happy to be here, and hope to make a good work together.
Okay, thank you very much, Luca. Yes, of course, as you said, it's really important to find the synergies between the activities of the new coming projects and our activities that we have planned for this working group. But of course, it is today that we are also starting the process and to discuss and to see how we can adapt also to what the projects have foreseen also on their own activities. Is there any other project who would like to take the floor to give us their views? If not, we will move to the next part.
We have PostBMed2 and TuneUp representatives. Any of you? Emmy, I can see your microphone is activated. Would you like to say a few words about PostBMed2?
Hi, hello.
Hi.
Yes, hello,
Yes.
Emmy.
Hi, Emmy is my colleague from IUCN.
Hello,
I'm
Hara.
I'm from HSPN. Hi. I work for HSPN. We are partners in the PostBMed2 project, and we have the working package 2. We're leaders of that. The idea of the project is it has to do with the Posidonia banquets and how we can suggest a better management, a sustainable way to manage that, and propose a set of management protocols around the Mediterranean.
Yes, that's really interesting, and also it involves the part of how to involve, I would say, citizens or external stakeholders in these processes.
Exactly, yes. And that also includes the local community and the stakeholders, as it is in the protected areas, the management bodies, and the local authorities. And it's very interesting too, because Posidonia is a very important issue, and it's yet to be identified around the Mediterranean, and it's really important to stress the significance of the preservation and the correct management of the issue. And this is why the local stakeholders and have to be included and informed so as they participate in the right form.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, for sure, PostBMed2 will have a lot of different examples and practices to showcase in this working group too, and we will be for sure supporting you in also this dissemination and the promotion. So thank you very much, Harap, for this this explanation. Any other projects? The last one, because we are already a bit late. Okay, we have time. Or maybe TuneUp. TuneUp, it's interesting because you are the little, let's say, little sister of WetNet. Yes, hello? Hello, Anastasia.
Hear me. Hello. Sorry, my connection is really bad today, and I'm out of office. It's really difficult even to participate in this procedure. So, if you want me to say
yes,
a word
please.
about TuneUp, As you said, we are the continuity of WetNet. Some of our partners are actually, you already know, we are 12 partners for 7 countries, and some of our partners have been participated and successfully elaborated the contracts for the WetNet, but we want now to extend this this contract, or at least a memorandum of understanding between multi-stakeholders in marine protected areas. So we are at the beginning of our activities now. Just try to make our let's say local support in groups to bring together the stakeholders. At least this is the case for Greece, for our pilot activity, and we want to explore the idea in each pilot area of arriving at a level of contract with local stakeholders coming from different perspectives, such as even not only the public bodies or the managers responsible for the area, but also the agricultures or the fishers and some cooperatives operating in the area. So we are at the very beginning. I hope we will be in collaboration. Actually, I wanted to ask where can we find the material you were referring before?
It's on the website of what we call before Panacea project, but it's the same website. So if you go into publication, you will find all the different publications that were released by the project. But if you want, we can have a mailing after this webinar to send you everything, the minutes of the meetings and also the previous documents that we have released before. No problem.
Yeah, nice.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, TuneUp is also a very interesting project, I think, for this working group, because you also have some kind of different approaches in terms of, like you said, wetlands contract. It's really interesting to see the different progress that you will have in this project and how we can support you as well in terms of dissemination, but also in terms of advocacy. So it's very important to have you as well in this working group. Thank you very much.
Yes, also because not every country involved in this procedure, that is the meaning of the Indirect Met program, is at the same level of awareness of such instruments. I mean, here in Greece, the contract idea is
not a possibility.
Yes, I hope we will introduce it, and I hope it would be a useful tool for also for managers and authorities that are responsible for implementing some.
Yes, okay. Very interesting too, and we are looking forward to see how TuneUp is going to evolve also in its activity. Thank you very much. We have also in terms of presentation for this working group too. I just would like to. You have already seen maybe this slide if you were in the previous webinar. But just to show you the ecosystem, I would say, of how we work. So as you see in the middle of it, this is our little working group, Sustainable Use of Natural Resources, that is among the 2 other working groups. So you already had the webinars related to them. As you see, we are connected to this whole ecosystem with different modular projects where new projects are now entering. Thank you for the arrow. And we are developing a working plan, but also it's interlinked, with all the different activities and all the different projects that all the other projects are producing we are not working apart from you, we are working with you and in synergy with you. So in the documents that you have also received to prepare this meeting, you have also seen that we have already started an analysis of the different activities of what you're doing, and to see how we can match and how we can also develop our objectives together with you. So I hear the bell ringing, so we have to move faster. As you have already maybe seen, but it's important to recap, we are in this team several people that are going to call you from time to time and check on your project, how is it going, how we can support you. So for MPA Engage and Plastic Buster MPAs, we'll have Carolina and Mireia from MedCities, who are going to be your companions. MPA Network is really well followed by Dania and Sonsoles. PostBMed2 and Faros for MPAs, you know that I am following you, and Adeline as well, who is our Interreg volunteer, and I would like to give her as well a big thank you for all the support that she's providing to us. And TuneUp is followed by Plan Bleu with Gloria and Antoine. So you will hear from us from time to time. Then to close this little part, we would like to ask you several questions. So thank you, Emanuele. So you see the question on your screen. So please, can you write the name of your project so you to confirm that you are interested and you want to commit to this working group? Then can you add the name of the partner who will become the main contact if you already know it? If you don't, it's not really a problem. As you know, we will contact you later. Can you also please specify which of your projects or deliverable or results you think that's the most interesting into this working group? So which one you think that you are producing in your project which should be included into our activities and how we can support it. And then if you have any suggestions on how we can improve the work that we are going to do together. So if you have any idea, if you like this way of webinar, if you prefer something else, please put your ideas. We give you 2 more minutes. Thank you. So I see 4 answers for the project. Thank you very much. You're all ready to commit. For the name of the partner, if you don't know it yet, it's not a problem. I see 2 answers for type of product, so thank you for those replies. Raising awareness material for general public. Develop common recommendation to bring bottom-up messages to policymakers, donors and stakeholders at national, subnational, supranational. Yes. This is something, yes, we'll go through that a little bit in the presentation later. And yes, this idea, yes, Luca will have the time also to talk about this idea to subdivide the group to target subtopics. Okay. I think everyone has already replied, so maybe we can move to the next slide. Thank you. So the proposed actions. This is where we go into more detail into our topics, and I will ask Katerina, if she's connected, to present to you our policy targets and action plan.
Hi there, I am connected. I hope you can hear me, and sorry if you don't see me very well. I'm not in the storage downstairs, but for some reason my camera doesn't work very well. Anyway, I hope I look younger at least. I have a little problem because once again I can only see Adobe Presenter and I don't see the presentation. But anyway, so if someone can move the presentation while I'm going along, that would be great. I really am in the dark. Okay, so on the slide about the main policies that this working group is going to target or use as a guiding principle, you can see here a list of the main ones. and I will just say a few words. You all know that at the European level, the EU has the exclusive competence over fisheries, which means over exploitation, but also how to regulate fishing operations. And this allow us to have access to a number of tools that can be used in the Mediterranean region as well, or proposed even for non-EU countries. For example, we have the Common Fishery Policy, which is a comprehensive tool that set rules and also set potential financial support through the European Fund for Maritime and Fishery Affairs. Under this policy, you have several regulations which are relevant for this working group. The most recent one is the one on the conservation of fisheries resources and the protection of marine ecosystem through technical measures, which is an interesting new tool that includes merge a number of pre-existing regulations, but also introduce new concepts on the protection of the marine ecosystems. Other guiding policies, of course, are all the environmental directives. So the Birds and Habitat Directive was a framework directive, Marine Strategy Framework Directive, and Maritime Spatial Planning. These are the main that we will be looking at. But in addition to that, you already heard several times, there is the Malta Declaration, the Med Fish Forever Declaration, which was signed in 2017. And this is an interesting tool because it established an ecosystem management based fishery management framework. It tries to develop the culture of compliance to eliminate illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing. And of course it supports sustainable small-scale fishery and aquaculture. This is done through cooperation, which is assisted by the General Fishery Commission for the Mediterranean, the GFCM. So at the policy level, the Working Group 2 aims to support the GFCM management plans and the 2017 Malta Declaration, and of course the EU Common Fishery Policy. In terms of small-scale fisheries and governance framework, it needs the government framework and also rules or even definitions on small-scale fishery. They need really to be better defined and supported within the Mediterranean. There are not many regulations at the moment, and very often you have more intense fisheries and certainly less sustainable ones which are competing with the small-scale fisheries in terms of space and resources. Resources in terms of fishery resources, but also maybe economic resources. So the priorities will be to address under the SSF topic way to move from the solid conceptual framework set for small-scale fishery within the MPAs, and ways to create the correct legislative tools and mechanism to sustain the small-scale fishery in the Mediterranean region, especially from social and cultural and economical point of view. So next, this is basically all I have to say on this policy. So if you can go on the second, the main target groups. Here you can see a list of target groups, which are in fact not only targets for this working group, but they're kind of also partners, because the working group has been working in close cooperation with several EU networks and NGOs. And it's also an advisor to progress in their activities. All these listed organizations can be considered as targets, but also considered as collaborators supporting the same ecosystem-based management vision that is promoted by the Mediterranean biodiversity protection community. The GSM is creating an environment to design a viable model in the Mediterranean region and to safeguard this tradition. So we, as a project, and working group, we have been involved in the Fish Forum, and we wish to continue our cooperation in that area. We also have ongoing cooperation with the WWF Mediterranean, which is working very much on this topic through the MABA funding, for example, until 2022. And of course, we do have close interaction with the FARNet and the EMFF mechanism according to their scopes and planning actions. So next slides. The main outputs. So the involvement of small-scale fishery local communities will be developed via specific surveys, to be sent to regional authorities by the CPMR, and that aims to produce a state-of-the-art analysis. This analysis should describe needs and gaps in terms of small-scale fishery and the development of participatory approaches involving local communities. As an example, it would be interesting to see the scopes and possibilities of actions and the willingness to support participatory approaches, such as, for example, in the case of the Catalan model, which succeeded creating a policy to ensure the place of the fishery industry as a central pillar in the national blue economy sector. And it also provides rights and responsibility of various identify actors, and so it contributes in a way to sustainable. This way is to the sustainable use by fisheries. A policy recommendation paper on the small-scale fishery on policy targets at regional and EU level will be developed. So this is our outputs, one of our main outputs, and in general terms, this working group will promote and also will develop actually a tool that is the Mediterranean Biodiversity Protection Community Catalog. So it's a tool on participatory approaches and co-management, which is contained in the catalog, and you already heard about it earlier. So to conclude, we will look at issues on stakeholders' engagement, governance models, for example, like capitalizing on the those by WetNet or TuneUps projects. We will look at citizen science. For example, we can be inspired by the climate change monitoring in MVA's network, and we will discuss all these topics within this group. And we will also organize a number of capacity building and rise and awareness events through workshops and webinars, depending on the possibilities that we have given COVID. For example, within the planned summer school, which is going to happen in Venice next March, which is focusing on the ecosystem-based management and maritime spatial planning, we will also consider aspects of small-scale fishery and participatory projects as examples. And of course, we will organize some of the events in the frame of the Maritime MPA Forum. So this is all I have to say, and I'm sorry if I forgot something that would come in my mind looking at the slides, but I cannot still see them. At this point, I believe that there are a number of questions that you could consider answering. I can see the questions, great. So if you can take a few minutes and just say, these are standard questions that we made in the previous webinars, so some of you might be familiar, but basically if you have any suggestion on which project deliverables or results are more interesting from your point of view as partners, or if you can tell us which are the ones that you are more interested in promoting through the work of this working group, or then you have 3 questions which are looking at the biodiversity protection tools catalog. And if you can help us, if you already know about the catalog and the tools that are available already there, if you can help us to identify something which is not there and it should be in terms of monitoring tools, management tools, and geospatial tools and new geodata. So please, these are actually very important information and feedbacks that we need from you. You are probably tired by now. It's 1 hour and 15 almost. But if you can make the last effort, we are approaching the end of the presentation and webinar, halfway through. So if you can give us some hints, that would be great. If you don't have ideas and you need more time to think about it, you can use the chat later, or you can even use the email, as we used to do when webinars were not existing.
Thank you, Caterina. I hope everybody is now more stable also and can see all the questions with no problem. I don't see anyone indicating through the chat that they're having difficulties, so you should be able to see the different sets of questions and answers.
Okay, well, I guess there will be time to interact later for the last 3 questions in terms of additional tools that can be added to the catalog. So I wouldn't be too pushy if you don't feel like, or maybe we did identify everything so far, so you don't need to suggest anything. But anyway, there will be possibilities. to refine those lists. Okay, I see that there are two proposed deliverable projects that can be interesting to promote through our project, the MVPC project. Thank you. And one suggestion for monitoring tools. So I'm asking for guidance from those that are managing time. How much time do we have until the coffee break?
I think it's time for coffee break.
Right.
And maybe before we will just see with Mireia if we can do a group picture.
Yes, let's do so. You can turn on your cameras.
So yes, please everyone, open your camera. Hello.
Hello to everybody.
Hello everyone.
And Luca, we have a majority of women in the group.
Yes.
We need to encourage more male presence somehow, to be balanced.
No, Luca doesn't agree. Okay. Okay, just look at the camera and smile and okay, I take several pictures. So okay, first one you will hear it. So second one. Okay. Thank you then.
Thank you everyone and enjoy the coffee break.
Advantages.
Sorry?
Luca has some advantages. He's surrounded by nice ladies.
For sure, maybe you are too many for me, so maybe I need some support. Yes.
And Elise, maybe we should tell the 10 minutes coffee break or 5 minutes, how much?
Yes, we have two short videos. I think it will take around 5-7 minutes maximum. So by 11:25, maybe I'm not the same time as you, but I think in yes, 5 minutes we are back. Okay?
Yeah, you will hear the music. Okay. So when the music ends, it's time to come back.
Yes.
I think it's 5 minutes. 7. Okay.
Yes, should be 7 minutes. So in less than 10 minutes anyway. So have a nice coffee break and see you.
People and livelihoods rely on the health and productivity of our natural environment, where relations among different life forms and spaces have impacts on each other. In the Mediterranean, the sea joins us all in a shared connection and a live ecosystem, where we interact with a wide variety of natural resources in many ways, extracting food, water, and changing the natural landscapes to accommodate the interests of us all. However, a sustainable relationship among species, habitats, and people is critical to ensure each other's well-being in the long run. For local and regional actors, sharing governance and legal rights to use, manage, and preserve their own natural resources is the most sustainable solution. Well-managed biodiversity and ecosystems can answer our needs and benefit us all. At sea, the future of small-scale fisheries can be sustained through a co-management effort with the fishing community, especially in marine protected areas, a treasure to preserve marine life. Co-management means collaboration, a participatory process where power and responsibility are balanced among users, consumers, and managing authorities. The key to success in effective protection is understanding and trust. Businesses, marine protected area managers, scientists and policymakers working together with the same goal. With the empowerment of Mediterranean people, fishermen can act as guardians for the sea, willingly accepting to enlarge marine protected areas and decrease their fishing effort for a long-term benefit. Cooperation in monitoring, patrolling, collecting litter or choosing the right gears. The fishing community is at the centre of marine protection and conservation. The Med Biodiversity Protection Community is working hard to promote an ecosystem approach to Mediterranean actors, promoting collaborative solutions. Here are some of them. A governance toolkit for small-scale fisheries management in protected areas by the Fish MPA Blue 2 project. Wetland contracts to tackle the joint challenge of conservation, management and sustainable development of water systems with local shareholders by the WetNet project, bringing science and local knowledge together to preserve marine life by the Confish project, institutionalizing co-management as in the new governance model for commercial fisheries in Catalonia. The Med Biodiversity Protection Community continues to pave the way for participatory solutions in local and global actions with a shared objective, a sustainable and jointly managed Mediterranean.
Hello, I hope you had a nice break. Is everyone still there? Yes, I see. So now let's focus on the different milestones, events and targets for this next phase. I'm just waiting maybe just to check. Yes, all participants, you're all here. Thank you. So you have already seen this timeline at the beginning of the webinar, but we are going just to focus on some events that are the most interesting also for this working group. As you know, we started this line of webinar series, and we'll see how to move forward into this working group. Probably, due to the current context, we might organize new webinar also to follow up on our activities for this working group too. As explained earlier by Dania, there are some different activities also in general inside the community that we are going to organize, but all of them are interlinked and are trying to reach the same objectives as well for this working group too. We will probably have a slot into the EU Green Week in Brussels, where we would like also to have an awareness raising session on Mediterranean wetlands, different networkings and different types of activities also linked with this EU Green Week. We'll see obviously when it will be the time in October, if it's feasible or not, as you know. But this is something that you can take note in your agenda. As well, a very important event is this MPA forum. We would like to contribute to some session also regarding participatory approaches and small-scale fisheries. You will hear about it later when we have more news about. For the moment, also due to the context, we know that maybe it will be not physical meetings, but we'll see how the things are evolving, and we will be informed about that. Also, another aspect that we are supporting also in this working group is regarding the transferring activities. We talked a bit about that with Katerina. There will be some transferring webinars organized with some related to the ecosystem-based approach on maritime spatial planning. So also a very important topic, and obviously the working group too has some interest also in being involved and providing some inputs into this training that is co-organized with BlueMed. And this is this angle also of the transboundary governance modeled in the Adriatic Ionian region, ecoregion. So this is also something that we want to co-organize with the youth there, and that is also very important into the this working group too. So please stay tuned to that, and we'll give you more information, of course, when it will be possible. Then for the next slide, sorry, I think it doesn't work on my computer, but the focus on some main events regarding these activities. So as I said, the Green Week, for the GFCM-FAO Fish Forum, we are also expecting some news, so we'll keep you updated, but our idea is really to stay and continue to be involved into this collaboration we have with GFCM-FAO Fish Forum. We'll see if it's also in the form of a webinar. And FARNet is organizing an event in Croatia, a Mediterranean Black Sea event based in Split in Croatia, 23 and 25 of November, but due to the current context we cannot confirm that, but we also would like to also present some activities and be representing also the community into this very important event that is addressing the flags. Next year, you know that our workshop and activities related to the IUCN World Conservation Congress is postponed to January. So for this, we are still in the pipeline for that, and you will receive information also on that pretty soon. And all the other events that were presented earlier by Dania, the Barcelona Convention COP22 in Turkey, you also stay tuned to that, I'm sure of that. And at the end of the project, we are foreseeing also to have this capitalization event. Maybe some of you were also in Brussels during the first stage of the project, and we will repeat the exercise, but obviously coming with more and more advanced and with the progress that we have done so far to be presented at the CERICA Intergroup public hearing at the end of mid-2022. So please stay tuned to those different milestones that are the main events that we are foreseeing into the range of activities that we have into the working group. So I have a set of questions for you again. So which one of the following MVPC general and working group events you consider most relevant to your project? So maybe you think it's more relevant to be present in the MPA forum, in the Fish forum, in the IUCN Congress. So please let us know which one you think is the most important for your project. And if you can suggest other targeted events or partnership action that we should consider that your project is maybe organizing. So if you have any other event that you think it's very important not to forget. So I give you a little bit of time to reply.
Remember, if you don't have the time to answer the questions now, or if you want to consult with other partners, you can follow up via email or send additional comments to the PDF draft action plan that we shared with you via email.
Thank you. And yes, please don't hesitate to suggest any event, even if it's a webinar, that you think it's relevant also, not to forget. Barcelona COP. So maybe we'll move to the next part. No, it's open floor. If you have any question, I know we had a coffee break between, but if you want maybe to react on this slide showing the two, let's say, main division of this working group. So the first one on small-scale fisheries and participatory approaches, and the other one which is more, let's say, open and which will focus mainly on governance model, how to involve different stakeholders, stakeholders engagement, you know, and also these aspects of citizen science. So different aspects, not only focus on small-scale fishery, that we could also explore in this working group. And maybe I would like to have Luca, if she's still there, to maybe react on it.
Yes, please.
How do you see this this subdivision maybe of the work? In
the
this
slide
working
was presented by Caterina, no, in its
yes.
part of PowerPoint, where everyone understood that SSF is a main topic in this moment. It is the momentum, no, in the Mediterranean. When we talk about sea, blue economy, etc., SSF must be there. Although the 4 new projects don't focus on SSF, at least 2 of them have SSF as one of the topic, and also with a past project like efficient blue 2, etc. I agree. I share, of course, the idea to keep SSF as one of the main of the 2 key areas where to work as a working group. The second area, it is direct, let's say, no? We have projects on Posidonia, on climate change, on different of methodologies of engaging stakeholders, etc. I would propose, I'm here to proposing that this second topic, that in my proposal is also a subgroup. So I'm proposing here to to split this working group in certain steps of the work into subgroups. One, again, focusing on SSF, and it's clear also which projects. And the other projects that deal with different topics, I would suggest you to work together with this angle. How our topic, it can be plastic, can be Posidonia, can be whatever, can influence the planning process undergoing in each country, because most of us are aware that in principle by March 2021 EU member states must submit to EU Commission the maritime spatial planning of their own seas. So I think that could be interesting to work on our specific topics, but take in mind which can be the tools, the hints we can provide in these processes undergoing at national level. Of course, a tool developed in Italy can be useful also in Spain and vice versa, etc. So regardless the land, I think that the starting outputs, the first outputs, I know that the projects have just started their implementation, but maybe for the early 2021 we can have some good ideas that are concrete ideas, that are technical hints to be, let's say, integrated, to be endorsed, to be considered in this work of spatial planning undergoing at national level. That is maritime spatial planning, but also coastal spatial planning, integrated zone planning, let's say, is the same, no? So this second topic that for me could be also the second subgroup would be more how to providing contribution for actual planning undergoing at national level. I don't know if I was clear in my
Yes. Yes, very clear. No, I think you have identified a clear point also and very useful for this working group, also because we are involving projects, very different projects that are not only focusing on small-scale fisheries, and all of those elements and all of these aspects clearly enter into a reflection when we consider maritime spatial planning and how we can really try to influence and to make ecosystem-based approach like a priority when planning is on the table. So this is a very high challenge, but I think also when we were talking about the different events that we are going to follow up, I think we should also have a clear view on the different milestone events related to the implementation of the MSP directive and try to also be there and to promote our ideas as well. So thank you very much, Milka, for this insight. Is there any other reaction? Someone who would like to react on this? Just, we are already late, so maybe one more minute.
Yeah, just
if someone
from my side, one reaction to the proposal of Luca, and especially that already Katrina has presented this training school that we plan to have originally in Venice this year, but finally the meeting or the training that is expected to be 4 days. It will take place supposedly around the same time that the MSP, that the countries need to have somehow generated their MSP plans at national level. Yes. So maybe there is an opportunity as well to present a common outcome in such a forum. It is planned to have around 50 people, if I'm not wrong. Katrina, correct me, but I think that was a bit the forum we were expecting. It will have really people from different backgrounds, different different parts. So there are quite some people coming from the governance part in the Mediterranean. We expect to have UNEP MAP with us. We would expect to have planners. We would have to expect people coming from the conservation, from NGOs. So maybe it could be also a place where we could present such an interesting development or outcome, depending on where we will be. But maybe in terms of planning such a common, somehow a type of delivery or outcome, it could go in line with the dates where we plan for this training, and it could be also presented somewhere in the agenda. We have a space for some interactive sessions or mechanisms at the end of the fourth day, if I'm not wrong. And there could be also the opportunity to show and showcase also some of the results on how planning would affect finally the future of certain regions, areas, and so on. So it's just a reflection, but I think it could be interesting. And I see Katrina willing to answer. Please, Katrina.
It was just to clarify, did you say 50? Because I think it's 30 people. Do you hear me?
So yeah, Katrina?
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah. So you are confirming that it's 30, not 50?
Yeah.
30 people.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Yes, it's a very good aspect that we should, of course, concentrate on this new working group phase. And I suggest to you that we have a look at what we have foreseen for the next 6 months. Take into account that it's not set in stone, of course, and that if you have any more ideas and other projects that you would like to develop with us, you can raise your hand. So as I explained earlier, there will be this EU Green Week. We also had this MVA forum that we are foreseeing, and the FARNet event, as well as the FAO GFCM Fish Forum and the UCN World Conservation Congress. So that's are all these milestone events that we have foreseen so far. Also, in terms of projects, we would like to release this first version of the policy recommendation probably in November or December, maybe at the end of the year. So to be in line with these main events and to be able to present some results as well during those particular activities. And then we will evolve into a second version of the policy recommendation to also be able to address this document during the CERICA event that we are planning. We had a few words already on the MSP school that we are planning. So, Katerina, please do not hesitate if you want to add a few words on it. And as Luca also explained, we will probably have a good reflection to continue to see what kind of project and what kind of action we can do to support this second aspect of the working group, also focusing on the MSP implementation. So if anyone here has a reaction on the different activities for the next 6 months, I will show you mainly timeline. It's easier to see like that. So we are asking for your reaction on this action plan. As you know, you received this document. It's not set in stone. So during the summer, we will probably revise it. And if you have any comments on the fact sheet and on the action plan, please do not hesitate to send us. Then there will be this update also during the summer of the technical notes. I introduced it earlier. So we already went through an analysis of the different new modular projects, but also, of course, we will need you to have a look at it, and you will probably receive by the end of the summer an update of this technical note and to see how we can use some of your activities, some of your products also inside this working group to be promoted, to be supported into this technical note. And the CPMR is launching a questionnaire during the fall 2020, as explained earlier, is really to make an analysis on the needs and gaps and see how we can support the transferability of participatory approaches regarding small-scale fisheries and MPA management at regional level. And November, December will be mainly focused on the release of the version 1 of the policy paper and on the different capacity building workshops and raising awareness workshops that should occur either physically or through internet. We'll see how it goes. So if you have any reaction on it before we jump to the conclusion, please raise your hand. You can always, of course, send us some emails. So just for you to reflect before we conclude, so do you see any topic or event that is not addressed by the working groups and should be? So we just talk about some events related to the MSP directive. Please, maybe you have other ideas. And which one of the proposed action and tools you see that are the most interesting for your project? So do you think that technical notes, policy recommendation paper, promotional materials, or organizing capacity building workshops, or any other types of material we should develop for supporting you in this working group too? Okay, I see that a lot of people are actually interested into the promotional campaigns and the policy recommendation paper. Any other types of actions or tools, please? You can also type your reply in the chat.
Lise, if I may.
So, yes. Yes, I think it's time for now going to the conclusion.
Yes, now just a question, maybe also to have a clearer idea for the participants about the CPMR campaign to understand better the needs. I understood from the small-scale fisheries sector. So is it to be done at the Mediterranean level?
Yes, mainly. Yes. The survey can be sent to all the CPMR regions, but the conclusions that we would be extracting would be from the Mediterranean region. Okay. So we will have data from other regions for sure, but yes, we will extract mainly the replies from the Mediterranean region.
And would that be linked to any tools or developments or results linked to this community? It would be interesting also to let the participants.
Sure. Yes, it's really the objective is really to update the policy recommendation paper from this analysis. So to see really what are the expectations and what are the needs and the gaps, and then we can see what are the best options, to promote and to support this transferability of participatory approaches. Either we could organize, we'll see in the next years, so not this year, but maybe in 2022, maybe in 21, which kind of activities we could organize with the regional authorities and that could fit best, regarding their needs, if it could be through capacity building workshops or other types. And I think there are room for developing a lot of ideas on that. And I think, Luca, also we had some discussion related to that, and we can also maybe have the time after a conclusion to discuss and see which kind of tools or let's say action we can develop. We talk about the MOU or a pool of project ideas, something like that.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you for that. Okay, so I guess it's my turn now.
Yes. Okay. So thank you for replying to the question, and Dania, if you can give us your view on the working group 2 progress and this webinar and how you see the next steps for us. I think you're muted.
Yeah. Now I think you hear me. Yes. Okay.
Yes,
thank you, Lise, for that, and thank you for the explanations. I think it's important. I mean, the aim of today is really to start to let you know more in details what we plan to do, the intentions at least. So we wanted to hear also from you, what are your priorities? As you have heard, I mean, there are some things that are still to be refined, to be better placed as priorities, but I think all your inputs will be helping us. As Liz mentioned, there will be an update of this fact sheet that is a bit the summary of the priority actions we plan to have under this working group coming, building on also all the inputs that you have provided today. And please be sure that if you spend a bit of time on sending us some more information after looking more in details into the fact sheet, it's not long, it's a few pages only. All of these will be really taken into consideration to the final version. As next steps from our side, of course, you have seen that there are some more general activities that we plan to do, so across the working groups, and some others that focus a little bit more, even a suggestion to split this working group into two, like topics or priorities. So depending a bit on the topic, we would be engaging with you. You already heard that we will not be overwhelming you with information and needs from our side and requests, but we will try to structure those so we are always in a certain type of exchanges, so you know where we are, and we engage you in processes that you showed interest in as they come along. So I guess as next steps for this working group, there will be the fact sheet that will come out before the summer, I hope. And after that, we will be, of course, once we have the announcement of the training or this school training, we will be sending that is coming also next week, I expect. And for further events, we will be as well letting you know. The last point from my side, in case you did not show an interest in something now and you feel that you would like to show that later on, don't worry, we will be through our newsletter and through our networks also informing about main things, and you can always join if you or any partner from your projects think that might be relevant for them. And please let us know, call us, you can email us. We are really lucky to have also Luca supporting heavily this working group, so he will be also, we will send you the details to be contacting him, and we will be in touch. I think this is all from my side. We have a few more questions, 5 questions I think, mainly for you to let us know whether this webinar was useful for you, whether you have any comment to suggest to improve for next webinars, or any topic that you thought that it would have been interesting to discuss and we did not discuss. So please feel free to spend 1-2 minutes on that. That would help us a lot. And please feel free to add any comments or suggestions that you think could improve whatever you felt as if it needs to be improved. That would also help us for the upcoming events that we will be engaging you with. I'm just reading, Cara, what you mentioned. By speakers, we mean the actual persons, not the microphones, no. Either the technology, because sometimes it fails. Okay, so things to improve. I'm seeing that, yes, people would like to start meeting in person again. We do wish this as well. It's important for us, and it's not easy to set everything virtually the same way as we would have set it face to face. But yeah, that's a situation we cannot do a lot for. And it would be good to have the questions in advance so we can think about it beforehand, surely. So that's certainly something that we could also develop for the next events. Certainly it helps, yes. Okay, so I think if you're happy with what you have provided, thank you for that. Just to let you know, we mentioned in the first webinar we did on June 12th that we will have these 3 webinars linked to the working groups that we have done. Today is the last one. And we also have a webinar that we would like to also engage you with, that will be focusing on a task force on communication. So how we can communicate together in a way that is coherent to build a bit on the somehow the communication efforts of all of the projects. This webinar will be taking place after the summer holidays, because we think that by now we have gone into like clarifying what we want to do. But you would be expecting this, I guess, around September. We will be informing you about that. So there will be a task force linked to common communication. It will be much more dedicated to how we want to communicate some common priorities, and that is something we will be informing you about. This is the last thing from my side. I really thank everyone for your time, and I really would also from my side wish that we could see each other soon, hopefully, with everybody healthy and sound. Have a beautiful day and a beautiful weekend, and we keep in touch. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. And just to ask for a final group picture, if everyone can open the webcam.
Sure.
And also just to ask our MBPC partner if we can join on Skype just after, if you have a few minutes.
Come on, Luca. Where is our man?
Sorry.
We are waiting for the man.
Now, can we ask you please to try and find something around you that represents biodiversity, marine issues or something? I managed to get a call for this time, so.
Nice.
Okay.
Just a second.
We got a whale, we've got a fish, that could be a sardine or an anchovy.
Yes.
We've got 2 books. We've got the status of marine protected areas, very interesting. What else do we have? We have biodiversity, terrestrial, plants. We've got a nice poster for Luca in the background. Thank you. Kara's got a nice publication for Natura 2000 sites. That must be met probably, yeah. Well done. And I think Anastasia is looking for something very interesting to show. No? Maybe you just do like this and
only thing I can
that's
show
always positive.
Is this, well, it's Barcelona, you see the sea there, so okay.
Sorry, not even my face.
Coastal area. Yep. Yep. Well done.
Okay, so you can look at the element.
Thank you.
And another one. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye. Bye.